How's it going, everyone? This is your weekly astrology horoscope for the rest of this week, because I have a lot I got to do this week. So I'm going to pack all this into a weekly horoscope here. If you don't mind, this week's a little wild for me. So I've had to make a lot of adjustments to make a lot of different things work. I have a lot of things wrapping up. And I still want to show up as much as I fucking can. So, and I think that is kind of the theme this week, especially with Mercury and Uranus getting closer together, with the Sun and Venus getting ready to meet in Gemini, with Jupiter now in Gemini, the Moon in Aquarius today, trining the Sun in Gemini. We just have to be on our feet. Think on our feet. You know, we don't need to be in the same routines. Like, you know, Taurus season, we were pretty comfortable in the same routine with all these great benefic aspects we just went through. And we still are in amazing, great benefic aspects here in Gemini season. Of course, the two benefics now in Gemini, and the Sun in Gemini, and Mercury and Uranus getting closer together, and Mercury dispositing Jupiter, Venus, and the Sun, and the Moon in Aquarius trining the Sun today on Monday, on Tuesday, my bad. And I will be back on Friday, by the way. So, but yeah, today is a day. I mean, Tuesday, like, we're feeling really fucking good. I mean, the Venus and the Sun are getting closer together, and the Moon and Sun are really positive and supporting each other. And yesterday we had that Mercury sextile Saturn, which I didn't talk about yesterday. But, you know, like, there's a lot of new conversations and new exciting things, even things coming out of the blue, thoughts and connections being made that are just like, holy shit. Like, never saw it that way. And Saturn as well, with that sextile yesterday that I didn't even mention, which I looked at the chart today. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even fucking talk about that. So, you know, it's like really concreting these new innovative, creative ideas and partnerships, especially, into our reality, and really have a better, more grounded look at things in the landscape, but also that spiritual connection and where we're rooted in our environment, you know, with these new ideas coming through. And definitely today with the Sun and the Moon, there's a lot of creative energy. I think our emotions are very much in sync with where we're headed, you know, and Mars and Chiron getting closer together here, which is going to happen here on Wednesday. It's like, this is a week where we're stepping into whole new territory of getting to this place of understanding ourselves in a much more expansive way. And I think us branching out into new environments, willing to just kind of try new things, to trust our intuition to carry us to the people that our souls are trying to connect with. Because I really feel that, like, our souls are really trying to connect with people in a whole new way. You know, that's how I feel, is that this Mars, Chiron, Mercury, Uranus conjunct Venus and the Sun, it's like these are like all new moons happening in the most personal spaces of our chart, right? So on Wednesday, we have this Mars, Chiron energy. So this is like, okay, like, you know, we're putting this phase of healing into action, and this is the last planet that's going to conjunct with Chiron. So this is that phase of like moving into this space of being very confident in our identity. But at the same time, before this conjunction, leading up to that moment, there can be some things that we have to face and look at and really analyze, you know, and Mercury's really helping us analyze. And that Mercury sextile Saturn on Monday really helped us look at things in a much more grounded, humble way and a practical way. But also like that divine voice really being in sync with like our minds of like, fuck, like this is what we need to do. These are the, you know, realistic approaches and pathways that we need to take. And these are the things that, you know, we haven't really looked at the reality in a clear way, you know, where things have been foggy and confusing. especially with Neptune at 29 degrees. It's like things can get confusing. And on Wednesday, this moon is going to square Mercury and Uranus. And I definitely think there can be some shakeups. There can be some challenges, but it's a positive outcome, Like, I think, too, it's like when this moon's in Aquarius, it's like we just kind of want to detach emotionally. And that's not always useful because this Mercury getting ready to conjunct Uranus really, really wants to connect. It really wants to connect, okay? And with Venus and the Sun getting closer together, like it really is wanting to branch out, okay? It's bored, right? We can get bored in Gemini season, so it's like, fuck, I need to do something different. I need to go, eat some different kinds of foods and try some different kind of, I'm sick of doing the same old thing, eating the same old sandwich every day. Like, so this moon square Uranus and square Mercury, as Mercury's getting closer to Uranus, can really shake things up and push us out into the world and say, hey, you know what? Like, don't just disconnect emotionally and think that things are going to grow and prosper and new relationships and connections and partnerships are really going to start to meld together. It's like, if we're feeling like we want to just disconnect emotionally, get outside, go do something different, take a walk down the street, call somebody you haven't talked to in a while. And this is another kind of energy too that I am sensing coming in with this Mercury Uranus is that, people you haven't heard from in a while might just show up out of the blue and be like, hey, how's it going? Actually, I experienced that over these past few days. I talked to a friend I haven't talked to in a long time for a while, and that was a really nice experience, and to allow those spaces to occur and not just disconnect and detach and just like be in your own little fucking bloopy fucking hole, because it's easy with these fixed energies, with the moon in Aquarius and Mercury and Uranus and Taurus, we can get stuck. But that's what Aquarius does and what Uranus does. It wants to fucking like dig things up, shake shit up, and make it unstuck. So Mercury and Uranus coming together in this square with the moon over to Mercury and Uranus is really helping us break up our mental stagnation, okay? So being able to like clear things up, clear the air, especially within our partnerships. And I think, too, relationships are such a big focus because when we're talking about Libra and Taurus and Venus and the Sun, like this week is very relationship focused. And honestly, this year has been very relationship focused. And all these eclipses with, Aries and Libra, it's really letting go what just pulls us into the muck at Black Moon Lilith on the South Node. It's like, fuck, it's easy. If you keep playing out the same old relationship patterns, it can lead you into some dark holes. Doing the same thing over and over is insanity. Neptune at 29 degrees can lead us to some insane places, right? But also Neptune at 29 degrees can lead us into the most magical places. But if we're willing to get outside of our comfort zones, traverse into new territory, expand our minds with new, different ideas, and if we can look at things from both sides and not just be like, oh, like I don't agree with that, this and that, or I don't believe in that. It's like, like try to see things from both angles, because this, especially with this moon squaring over to Mercury and Uranus and Neptune at 29, it's like, there can be some difference of opinions and difference of values, Some people just want to be free and, branch off into the world on their own. And some people want to just be stable and be present where they're at, But on the other end of this, it's like Mars and Chiron coming together is really helping us get to a, better understanding of our physical selves, and identifying what these issues are that we've been going through. And Mars is helping us put this healing into action. So it's like, get outside of yourself, move your body, direct your energy towards a positive direction. That's what Mars and Aries wants to do. It wants to direct its energy towards, the next step. What's the goal here? And the goal really is to really focus on that inner world of healing. So when the energy moves its way outward, it can express itself in a positive energetic exchange with other people, because it's been really difficult with the South Node in Libra. So, and I think it's beautiful too, because this Venus and Sun coming together. So if you can see the Sun setting after, once Venus and the Sun conjunct, like over these next few weeks, we're going to be able to start to see Venus setting with the Sun. It's going to be really beautiful. And then the Moon comes into Pisces Wednesday evening. There is a lot of sensitivity coming in. This Moon's going to square Jupiter. So, a lot of beliefs and a lot of, new ideas. And, it can maybe feel a little loopy and crazy. It's like, is this really the best thing? I can't believe I did this. Or, like, wow. Like, when some truths and facts get brought to the surface, like it could be kind of like, whoa, where have I been? I've been sleeping. And I think too, there can be some big things, big ideas coming to the surface, but knowing how to channel those ideas in a practical way and not like just this Neptunian way where it's just not realistic. So I think when this Moon and Jupiter square is really helping us look at things more factually in a more honest approach, but also like not losing that spiritual current. I think that's what's important when this Moon comes into Pisces, is like, okay, we got to look at our environment in a more realistic way. We got to look at the people that we're engaging with and communicating with in a more realistic way, and not put the rose-colored glasses on and just, have this projected version of what you want this other person to be, right? And especially because this Moon will start to square this Venus and Sun here on Thursday. So, it is that rose-colored glasses kind of thing, or definitely like new connections and new relationships developing in life where it's like, fuck, like, it's really making you think about the things that didn't really work out, but also the new ones and the new connections and new relationships that are coming in are like, wow, like I haven't felt this way in a long time, but it's hard to deal with some of the leftovers and some of the baggage, because when we get into Pisces, it's like it's the baggage, it's the subconscious baggage. And we don't want to be carrying on old subconscious baggage into new partnerships. But I think it's important to communicate about these things openly, especially new people coming into our lives, whether it is romantic or a business partnership or a creative partnership. It's important to communicate, where you've come from, and not try to bury it, because it will just act out in weird ways. When this Moon is in Pisces squaring Gemini, it's like it can get a little circusy in the brain. So to really move through that kind of energy is to communicate honestly about what you're feeling inside, especially with the people that you're connecting with. And it's new people, okay? And Jupiter is starting to trine Pluto. So that deepest part of our unconscious self is starting to expand upwards into our reality, giving us a visual perspective, or at least like a future perspective, in bringing up some positive points of view and some information about our deep unconscious self. So I think we can really start to learn this week when Jupiter trines Pluto about like our inner world, in a way that we haven't in a long time, right? It's because when Jupiter was in Taurus, Pluto was in Aquarius. So we didn't have Jupiter in Taurus trine Pluto in Capricorn. So now we're having Jupiter in Gemini trine Pluto in Aquarius. So it is, to really look at those deeper parts of ourselves, those rooted unconscious things, even from childhood or from birth or prenatal, right? I think too, with this aspect, like if you look at like your prenatal eclipses in your chart, like you can really discover some different new information that's like, oh, wow, I didn't really see it that way, and Mercury really starting its conjunction 1 degree away here. So within the next 24 hours, Mercury's going to make its conjunction with Uranus as Jupiter's trining Pluto. So as this Mercury-Uranus conjunction is full on here at 24 degrees, Jupiter and Pluto are also going to be trining. So it's like, wow. And Mars is now at 23 degrees off of its conjunction with Chiron. And then the moon is going to be on Saturn. Mars is off Chiron. Mercury is making its conjunction with Uranus. And Jupiter is trining over to Pluto. Okay, and Venus hasn't quite caught up with the sun yet. So Venus is still chasing the sun. Like, I want you, I want you, I want you. Like, what are you? Who are you? I want to know you. Tell me more. Venus and the sun. It's like Venus is kind of loving this chase here because it's like Venus and Gemini just wants to be stimulated, okay? Like, a lot. And it needs constant stimulation to really, not get bored and not get in its own head. So, being able to, like, be in that present moment of just having fun and embracing this youthful energy, But at the same time, this moon Saturn can get a little heavy. Things can get a little serious. So there can be some serious emotions coming up. But I think it's an opportunity for us to expand that inner world, that inner psychological world, to look at our unconscious selves. And I think when we do that and we don't, like, just disconnect and, like, say, oh, like, I can't, I don't want to connect with myself in that space because it's too hard to look at, or I'm scared. I don't like, I'm afraid of what I'm going to see. It's like, this is what that Mars Chiron's all about, and this is what Jupiter and trine Pluto is helping us do. It's like we can uncover some new information on even, things that are, true and factual, okay? But they can be hard to look at, okay? This moon on Saturn, things can get really heavy, but not falling into that, subconscious kind of place where it's like, oh, I just want to escape. I can't handle these feelings. What are these feelings? Mars is helping us identify what these feelings and emotions are. And it's connected to where we're wounded. But at the same time, Mercury on its trine with Uranus, it's like, look, here's a different way to look at it. Here's a better way to look at this situation, So new connections in ourselves and in our minds and in our brains, new neural pathways are starting to connect. And expanding our unconscious space and being able to have a better window, into that world. And when we're not afraid to look at it, it helps us get a better perspective of the longer term picture with Jupiter, right? Jupiter's all about the long term, okay? But Jupiter in Gemini and its detriment is like, fuck, like, I just want to focus on right here, right now, and expand what's right in front of me, and discover what's right in front of me. But the more we can and really what that is, it's like, it's right here. It's all within us. It's within ourselves. So if we can look into that inner world and look at our environment, in a deeper way, and see the deeper meanings within things, but also with this moon in Pisces on Saturn, don't look too far into it in a way where it's like, it gets paranoid, right? This moon Saturn can bring up some paranoia, and if you get into that state, it's like, you just got to get out and do different things, And I think that's what's just important with Gemini energy anyway. It's like when you get bored or you get inside your head too much, you got to make a change. You got to, like, take a walk, go outside, Don't just sit where you're at, But also, too, like I said yesterday, with Mercury in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus, take your time, be patient. Don't feel like you need to rush. There is this sense, too, with Mars and Aries and Venus and the Sun and Gemini. It's like, I just, got to do it now. Things got to happen now. Things got to change now, But it is. The Moon and Saturn, too, is always reminding us that, we can't control everything. We're only in control of so much within our reality. There is a bigger divine purpose and connection that we all are a part of. And that's greater than us. And everything that happens is always the way it is meant to be, no matter what. And it's beautiful. That is what is beautiful. and that's what Mercury and Uranus is also teaching us, is to see the beauty in when things really like change unexpectedly, or being able to ride that current of, just things really changing on a dime. I think people can really have a change of mind this week, and like these new insights and new flashes of insights can really give us a different perspective on things and on life that can really be like, like I'll never see it the same way again. I'll never see this situation the same way again. I'll never see this person the same way again. But at the same time, there are all these new partnerships and connections coming through, and there is this kind of chasing energy, right? With Venus chasing the sun right now. And it's kind of cute. So I'm going to come back on Friday. I have a lot I got to do this week, and I'm going to be traveling a bit. So I appreciate everybody being here and being patient with me, and fucking showing up every day and doing this shit. It's fucking fun. I love it. It helps me look at the astrology in a different way and not just keep it within myself. And I'm glad when people leave comments and say how beneficial and useful it is for them. That means a lot to me. Astrology has impacted my life in a great way. My whole life. Before I was a teenager. So it really makes me excited when people leave comments of, man, this really helped me get through it. Someone last week's like, man, thank you for helping me get through the week once again. It's like, fuck yeah. That makes me feel like putting this out there is actually really worth it. And, not just, for myself, keeping the astrology in my own brain. I don't have a lot of people in my personal life necessarily where we can get to this place. So, and that's the beauty of the internet, right? And definitely with this Jupiter trine Pluto, when we're trying to communicate in a big way and learn new things and expand, and connect with people on a very deep level. And I'll just say, this is much further out, and this has nothing to do with right now, but when Uranus comes into Gemini and starts to trine Pluto, we're going to see the whole social fabric shift and change in a whole nother direction when it comes to social media, technology, how we're communicating with others and branching out across the world, And it's really going to affect people deeply, and it's going to go both ways. Obviously, we know the both sides of technology, but I'm excited when Uranus comes into Gemini. Uranus and Taurus is fucking hard. It's not easy. Especially, when you want to be comfortable and all of a sudden Uranus just pulls you out of fucking some, place where you were comfortable, and he's like, that's fine. We're going to be here a while. It's like, nope, boom. And Mercury conjunct Uranus this week can definitely feel that way, but in an exciting way. There's a lot of excitement and there's a lot of unpredictability, and we want to embrace that this week. I think that's really important. Very mercurial time. We've been in such a Venus, Jupiter, benefic ruled time over these past few months. And it's been beautiful. It's been amazing. And that's what's setting us up for the next 6 months, the next year, the next 12 years, 14 years. When we get to the next Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And we're going to see that play out every time those degrees get aspected over these next 12 years, 12 and 14 years. So let's see what card we got for the week. We got the Knight of Swords. This is always very Aries energy. This is very Mars, Chiron energy here. It's like, we got to, and when the moon comes into Pisces and conjunct Saturn in Pisces, it's like, when the fog hits or things get confusing, or things get difficult, we still have to push through. We still have to keep pushing, And we can't just, like have our armor on and keep our shields up the whole time, right? Like sometimes we need to let our guard down, take off the armor so people can see who you are. And this is very Mars Chiron to me. You need to remove the masks, right? That's what, the Knight of Swords, for some reason, this is like kind of choppy right now. But The Knight of Swords, he's taking off his mask, but he's still charging through. He's like, fuck this shit. Like, we need to keep kicking ass, We need to let our guard down and let people see who we are and be vulnerable. This, like, reminds me of, like, really reaching that vulnerable place. That's how that card makes me feel sometimes. But, sometimes it's difficult, and you have to push through your own BS to really get to that vulnerable place. And I think vulnerability is really important this week, especially when the moon comes into Pisces. Things are going to get really sensitive and maybe confusing. So being vulnerable about the past and about things that, haven't really worked out, or where you've been uncomfortable, where you haven't really been able to look comfortably, and Jupiter, trine Pluto, is helping us look at these deeper things in a much more positive way. Like, we got to stay on task, and take off the mask and be willing to be vulnerable with people and these new people that we're connecting with. There's a lot of new energy coming in with this Venus Sun Cazimi. And Venus it's like a chase game right now. So if you're in that kind of phase with a person that you're attracted to or whatever, like, enjoy it. Because once the Sun and Venus meet, and then Venus gets in front of the Sun, allow that to be this new, inspiring, beautiful energy that's coming through to really integrate into your life, And I think it's just helping us get outside of our comfort zones and get outside of kind of where we've been stuck with all the Taurus energy. And Mercury, Uranus this week is helping us do that as well. So I hope you guys have a great week. I'm going to try to be back on Friday. And I appreciate all of you very much. And I will see you in a few days. Peace out.